Hi everybody at Lauritzen Garden Antique Show. I'm Jeanette Aurdal, the founder of the Oak and Rope Company. When the committee asked me a couple of years ago if I could come and visit for this show, I thought it was the most natural step for our little company to make, to come and visit you in Omaha. It would be the perfect illustration of the meaning of the word serendipity, which is of course this year's theme. But as many reasons would have it, we are not able to come to you, but we're adapting, and instead you get to see where we are from and a little piece of England. So this is our garden, and I'm going to tell you a few stories about how we arrived here. The story I wanted to tell you today are stories I normally prefer to tell people face to face, because for some intangible reason we have ended up making garden swings for kings and queens, princes and princesses, prime ministers, presidents and other prominent people all over the world. And I think the main reason why we've ended up doing that is because we never told people about it. But I'm about to break that rule today, so I hope you can keep a few secrets. The whole Oak and Rope story really started when I was only 10 years old. I was sitting on a garden bench in my grandparents' garden, watching my granddad mend fishing nets and make other useful things in rope. It sparked an interest in knots at the time, and it won me quite a few badges in the Girl Scouts. But as I grew up, I forgot about it, and it wasn't until years later, when I needed a last-minute present for a very good friend, that I remembered my splicing knowledge and that I could make a garden swing. So with just using some random pieces I had at home, I made the first oak and rope swing. And when I carried this rather large swing into a room full of people at the party, I knew I was onto something. And over the next few years, my swing grew into a number of other useful designs, and suddenly I had a small team working alongside me, making really meaningful presents for people all over the world. In the run-up to our second Christmas, we got a rather unusual order for 12 cheese boards. And the names that were to be engraved on the sides were not names that we'd carved before. It was names like Apple and Moses, Chris and Gwyneth, Stella and Alistair, and a few other combinations that sort of rung a bell. And a quick Google showed us that these boards were going to go quite far afield to some quite famous people. And I'm not sure if the two incidences are related, but obviously in the interest of explaining serendipity, I think we should definitely say that they are, because a few months later an American lady rang the workshop up and said, "Could you possibly make us 160 swings and deliver them in 3 weeks' time?" I did not hesitate. I simply said yes without any further thought, which I think is the only thing you can do in those cases, because if you think about it, you'll find out all the reasons why that would be really difficult. But we had a few stressful days, and we got some help from a few friends, and somehow we managed to deliver all 160 swings to the wrap party for the film Gravity. And it was quite fun for a little company like ours to then know that George Clooney and Sandra Bullock and people from all over the world would leave that party with one of our swings. And I think that we can still trace orders that come in today from people who attended that party. A professor at a business school in Norway called the Oak and Rope Company's marketing strategy genius. recently. I think calling it a strategy is quite rich, because we don't really have a specific policy on this, but we just do what feels right. People come to us to commission meaningful presents, and we consider that quite a personal matter. It's very hard to find meaningful presents for people, and particularly for those people who can buy pretty much anything they like themselves. And if somebody has stumbled upon us and decided to trust us to make an important present for them, we can't go and ruin people's surprises or spread any details. Because of the engravings that we put on all our pieces, we can tell quite a lot about people's relationships, places they're going to go on holiday, who they know, who they spend Christmas with. We've even been trusted with the names of unborn children before the father-to-be has agreed the name. So maybe engraving it on in oak is the deciding factor. But these are big events of people's lives, and they're not for us to share with other people. And everybody who works in our workshop knows that. They say that when you order from a small company, someone somewhere is doing a happy dance. And that is absolutely correct. We feel so blessed every day to be able to work with a wonderful material, keep coming up with new designs, and do what we love best. So every single order that comes into our workshop is hugely important to us, because it allows us to keep doing what we love. But that's not to say that sometimes there are a few extra skips, like that spring day in 2011, when somebody rang up to commission a swing for the wedding of our generation. It was there was a lot of noise from a lot of companies at the time saying that they were making presents for Kate and William's wedding. But when we received the phone call for the commission of their swing, we of course did not tell anybody about it. The only person I rang up was the forester of Prince Charles' estate, and I asked him if he could possibly supply us with a nice piece of oak that we could use for the project, and he obliged. So we kept quiet about the swing, and then a few years later, when Prince George was born, there was another order for another swing, and the same happened when Charlotte was born in 2015. And we were simply pleased to know that they trusted us to make these special presents, family presents for them. And we were just happy that this trust continued. It wasn't until the 22nd of July 2016 when everything suddenly took a bit of a step change for us. I was packing to go on holiday with my parents, but I answered the phone, and there was a journalist from the Telegraph, and he phoned and he asked me straight out, "Have you made a swing for Kate and William?" And I immediately went into we never disclose who our customers are, all purchases are personal, etc., etc. And he just interrupted me and said, "In all my years as a royal correspondent, the official birthday photographs have never carried a product that is not clothing. And the t-shirt and shorts that Prince George was wearing at the photo by Matt Porteous has already sold out. Did you make that swing?" And I said, yes. This was definitely a step change for our company. Although we were still not changing our policy. It's much better to have other people shout about your products than try and shout about it yourself. It started a little trend across Europe with a few other important events marked with oaken rope swings and cheese boards. But I really didn't think that the world of swing making could be made much more exciting than having a 3-year-old prince as your main model. That was, of course, until Kate took another photograph of Prince William and their 3 children posing on the same swing. When I was little, I wanted to be a carpenter. I didn't know that doing what I love would make me the world's most famous swing maker. Now, my children, who keep me very grounded, tell me that there is no such thing as the world's most famous swing maker, but they've yet to tell me of one that is more famous than their mother. And the stories continue. During the first lockdown period in the UK, in March 2020, we received another interesting swing order, this time from our own Prime Minister. We went ahead and made the swing, and in fact it was my daughter who mostly made it, because a number of our staff could not be in the workshop under the existing rules at the time. The day before we were about to deliver the swing, we were told to hold off because our swing would not clear Downing Street security that day, because there was a visit from the French president. So it's not every day that our lives in the middle of nowhere are affected by world stage events, but we did feel that we were a little bit in the middle of things. And the next day, an official looking car came to our workshop and collected the swing. And as the weeks and months go past and our Prime Minister has to make difficult decisions, we take a bit of joy in thinking that he may be sitting in the garden of number 10 Downing Street and pondering on the swing, thinking, should I or shouldn't I? And hopefully he will make good decisions sitting on that swing. But it's not only swings going to famous people that have set this path. Sometimes the swings themselves become famous in the most unlikely places. In the 1950s, somebody installed a swing for their children to play with in a remote fjord on a farm in Norway, not too far away from where I grew up. They made a swing out of some driftwood and some ordinary looking rope, but it wasn't the look of the swing that was special on this occasion. It was how you feel when you swing on this swing. And it hangs on a tree that gives you the feeling of flying over the fjord and into the mountains. And it's a very unique spot. My father suggested that I should make them one of my swings with an engraving of the name of their farm, Christian Gar, and the coordinates. And I did that, and I sent it off to with our courier. But I didn't hear anything for a few weeks, and I kind of forgot about that one as well, assuming that it might have got lost on the way, as I knew there was no road access to this farm. But about 18 months later, my phone started ringing again, and there were friends from Norway saying they had seen my swing on a report. There was an article in the paper saying that how this farm had suddenly received a very beautiful swing from England. But what really made this place very famous was when an American photographer discovered the swing, and she posted a photograph of a person sitting with skis on this swing and swooping over the fjord and looking as she was about to ski into the mountains from this swing. It's a stunning photograph that really went viral on her Instagram account. We really feel we have something in common with the family at Christian Gard, because both of our lives have been turned upside down by a single photograph released out into the world. And their little hamlet with 5 inhabitants have now gone from a place where not much happens to somewhere where they have 150 to 200 visitors a day. They organise concerts, there are daily wedding proposals, and generally giving a livelihood for their whole family, all based on a photograph of this really unique location. One of the people who visited was the CEO of a large hotel group, and he came straight home from having visited this little fjord location, and he ordered swings for a number of his great hotels, because he was trying to recreate some of that magic that they have created at Christian Gard. When I eventually managed to visit this remote location with my children, we had a journalist in tow, and the family came out to greet us when we arrived, and the report made it onto national TV, and as a result we ended up feeling a bit like royalty when we arrived there, and sitting on that swing really is amazing. Following that visit, my children did admit that I am the world's most famous swing maker, and that is a thing. And of course, this isn't an ambitious that I set out to achieve, and none of us knows where serendipity takes us. I think it's just being open-minded. But based on my experiences, I think a swing is a very good starting point wherever you're heading. In a world where we normally wrap our children up in cotton wool, and the swing is a place where they can learn to take calculated risks, where they can literally learn to push themselves and create their own fun. So when you're learning about how to the workings of a swing, they don't only learn the meaning of life, but they develop balance and coordination, and they get a full body workout. But the garden swing can also be a great place to escape to for a moment of calm, whatever your age is. And the gentle movement of a hanging swing puts everybody at ease. You can sit there with a baby in arms, or a toddler in distress, angry teenagers, stressed spouses. Just sit there and see what the effect is. Because great conversations just happen in places like that, and from great conversations other paths are carved. Such a place is also perfect for capturing on camera, and we've seen many beautiful photographs, portraits and family photographs, and smiles and postures are not awkward when you're on a swing. It's the perfect location for those poses for first days, going to nursery, school, university, or any family gathering really. And you know, seeing your swing hanging in the distance is also a daily reminder to slow down and take a moment to breathe, even on the days when that simply is a good intention rather than your reality. A customer recently wrote to us to tell us that her garden swing is the most precious thing in her life after her daughter and her dog, and I think she's still married. So we hear all sorts of stories, like the people who sold their house and they were not allowed to take their swing with them because it was the reason why the new owners had bought the house. But also people having a daily ritual of walking to their swing with their morning coffee, or having an evening drink with their spouse, and they become part of your rituals. But also, when you're taking a moment away from it all, which is so easy when you're sitting on a swing, this is a place where big decisions can be made, and it's the perfect place to make those. So whether our swings act as a focal point for a milestone day or a backdrop to people's everydays, we could not be more proud to be part of different people's journeys. Our swings keep influencing the path that I'm following, but at the same time, I love traveling the world and seeing how they become part of other people's lives too. I love the fact that the things that we make take on a greater meaning than the actual piece of wood or the practical use of a product. When you add the words in, be it names, dates, places or quotes, it adds a unique dimension which brings it far beyond what we ever could have imagined. And I think that is the beauty of serendipity.
Our everyday options have changed. Our mindset may have needed a bit of an adjustment, yet the fundamental truths remain the same. The little things are the big things. Adventures are important, and hot chocolate always tastes better outside. You don't have to plan an expedition to break from your routine, and there is more to explore at the bottom of your garden than you'll discover in a 6-month lockdown. Pack a little basket of your favourite treats, and since you're not going far, you don't have to pack light. Bring blankets and other things that makes you happy. These are memories and new traditions in the making.